So the wiring needs a little bit of looking at. So from the battery, as you can see, there's a big cluster of cables coming there, and they split off and do their own things onto a big solenoid there. So when we press the solenoid button, it energises the starter motor, like that. I want it to run off the key switch because that's a sprung key, which I believe might be that one there. So we need to reconfigure all that, and what I want to do is replace that with an isolator switch and basically tidy up all the wiring and renew the starter circuit. As you see, when you follow the cabling down, it comes all the way around the frame and everything, and then you've got the solenoid cable coming into there and the starter cable coming in around there, but they're both energised at the same time, which is what we don't want. So first things first, let's get the battery disconnected. Battery's easy to disconnect on this one. Just do that, pull that off. Simples. All that's getting replaced as well. Rinse and repeat on the other side. Time to get choppy. So as I'm angrily chopping wiring out, this is the feed from the alternator, which did go up onto the battery up there like that. Runs back around the frame all the way to the alternator to this old Lucas 3-pin plug. It's got two wires on it. That big red one there is for the alternator output. You'd have a voltage sensor, and then that is for the ignition light. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to order a new plug, and we're going to rewire all of that as well at the same time. Might as well. It all needs to come out and it's looking a bit ropey. So I've done a bit of tracing back to my alternator supply cable. This purple here looks like the trigger for the lighting lamp, for the charge lamp, sorry, which comes all the way in here. So brave move, I'm going to snip it off in here and joint it in here so I don't have a solder connection outside the electric box. So here goes nothing. Give ourselves a bit to play with, shall we? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm going to quickly test that. I'll strip a bit of that off. Let's move the camera up so you can see. I'll test it just to make sure it is the right one. The diode test on. Yep, so that is the right cable I've chopped off there. So that one I splice into my ignition lamp. So this horrible little individual here, which again runs straight back to the battery, goes into the bottom of the fuse box. So what I want to do is try and pop that one out of the bottom of the fuse box there and run a whole new wire in. There's me things, there's my tools somewhere.
And there shall be a great confusion as to where things really are, and nobody will really know where lieth those little things.
So after a bit of a kerfuffle I managed to get it out, and I'm glad I did, because you look at the state of the wiring at the back, it's starting to degrade, the older insulation's starting to go, so I think we caught that just in time. Yeah, getting a bit of corrosion in there, so glad I found that. Right, just took the start wiring off, and there's a lovely join right in the middle. I know my channel name is Bodgeneering, but that is even a hell of a bodge by my standards. I'm glad I'm doing this.
5 minutes later.
Frame earth wasn't holding on by much either. So the last bit we have here is the loom earth. That was screwed on up here onto a bit of a frame earth. There is actually a bolt in there. What I might do is change that for a stud and have that as the earthing point within the battery box. Not battery box, such the electric box, because that goes straight into a frame rail.
3 hours later.
Right, so I've got the old solenoid out, and as you see that doesn't quite fit in there because it's against that light switch. But what I can do, because of the way it's sitting at the minute, I can just chop out the top two holes and it'll fit in there nicely, like that. So I'll get that done.
A few moments later.
Right, so just chopped a little bit out and that now fits in there, lovely, snug as a bug in a rug. I'll get a couple of hole drills, drills hold, holes drilled.
Do you speak any English?
We'll get that mounted.
15 minutes later.
Right, for my starter connections I'm using 16mm cable, which I believe is around 76 amps. Starter motor is rated at 66.66 amps when it's cranking apparently, so we should be well within spec there. Cut off a nice straight edge and slice a bit of insulation off, about 10mm will do it. Smack the camera. It's quite awkward to do this at this angle. Slide crimp over.
Where's your toe? What fucking toe?
I'll get my big crimpers. Crimp it into position. I've moved a little bit there, but it is what it is. That ain't going to come off. See, it's all crimped in there nicely. Last but not least, a bit of heat shrink.
1 minute later.
There we go. That's that shrunk into place. Rinse and repeat as necessary. Right, it's about to hammer it down and the neighbour's kid is screaming her head off, so you probably can hear that in the background. So far I've got the battery wiring done and all crimped in nicely. Just need to tighten up that pole once I get a connector for my fuse box. Just another one unplugged in there so I can plug it straight into that. I've run the wiring in for the alternator down to here, little gauzy stuff, so I need to order a new connector for that. And I just need to connect up the battery. We've also put in new earth bond just there. We've wired in starter motor down to there, and that comes up to here. Obviously heavy duty side on the isolator switch, and the solenoid switch off the ignition switch, which I believe is that one, but I will test it before we energise everything. And that's what we've took off. So a few days for me waiting for bits, a few seconds for you. Right, so my bit's turned up, that's a plug fitted and in place. The fuse box has now got its power supply cable running and the fuse is fitted and everything's tied in. What I need to do is confirm that that is a start connection down there. So first time, let's have the isolator switch on. Nothing's gone bang. Let's have the ignition on. Let's go get the key.
Sorry.
Right, so the key's in the ignition now. Ignition on. Start position. Happy days. You see my battery's a bit low because it's knackered. What we'll do, we'll plug that onto there. We'll get rid of that. Don't need that there. Using my insulated piece of paper. Now, let's get that properly. When I crank this, so we're in neutral, we should get an engine crank. Happy days. It won't start because there's no fuel connected, because I've actually got a bit of a perish fuel hose as well, which I have to replace. I won't mind, they're less than 12 months old. Buy cheap, buy twice. So there we are then, that's my starting and charging circuit sorted out. I can't test the charger at the minute because I can't get it running. We'll find out later on. There's a box of rubbish that came out in a little pink bucket. The next job is to sort out the battery, because the battery's knackered anyway. I want to put a slightly smaller one on and sort out a decent clamp. Thanks for watching.